Hi, I am Matthew Bondar, and welcome. Before I begin, I would like to ask the audience 3 questions regarding their passwords. 1. When you're creating a password, do you typically use 12 characters or less? 2. When creating a password, do you typically write or jot down your password on pieces of paper? And lastly, when creating a password, do you use the same password over and over again when creating a new password? If so, today we're going to talk about password security and how important it is. During our discussion, we're going to talk about our introduction and how in today's day and age, everything pretty much requires some type of password to get in or log in. Then we're going to include how to include a secure password when trying to create one. Then we'll talk about ways to avoid selecting some type of passwords when creating a password. Then we'll go into how easy it is to obtain types of information about you on types of passwords that you might create for yourself that anybody can access through social media such as Facebook. Then we'll talk about different types of storing your passwords such as using Password Manager. And then finally, we'll discuss the conclusion. In this day and age, it seems that everything needs a password of some sort. It can be overwhelming trying to memorize every single user ID or password. I know it's very difficult for me using my home computer, using for online banking or schoolwork or all these passwords, just trying to gain things, and at work trying just to log in, then all the different data systems that require a different type of password and setup for each thing. To me, it gets a lot overwhelming just to try and remember every single one. But according to the University of Adelaide, passwords have become an integral part of an everyday computing because passwords are required for nearly everything we do. It can often be difficult to remember every single one of them. This sometimes leads us towards choosing simple passwords, as maybe our last name, our first name, so on and so forth. Passwords are significant when it comes to our own information because identity thieves can maliciously hack and collect our information we store online and use the benefits for themselves, which is very scary. So there's certain ways that we can use to include in a secure password. When I mentioned to the class earlier about using 12 letters, or 12 characters or less, well, typically you want to use 12 or more. The longer the password, the better, and more protective. You also want to use variations of capitalizations, spelling, numbers, and special characters. A good example is what I put up here. Do amazing things. You typically want to use numbers instead of letters. For instance, you want to use zeros instead of O's, 5s instead of S's, and 1s as I's, for a few of them. Now, for an even better secure, you can use a passphrase or a sentence that you can create off the top of your mind, which is more secure. For instance, you could take words from a sentence or phrase and abbreviate them and combine them in unique ways to create a password or passphrase. For example, I'm a big Buffalo Bills fan, so I created, woohoo, the Buffalo Bills won the Super Bowl. So I abbreviated that down and called it WOO exclamation point TBB WONT SB as a password. Now that is a very good password to use for an example. But just for the audience's knows, I don't use that password, so please don't try to log in anything that I have. Okay? So now there's ways to avoid selecting certain types of passwords. If you think about it, your account is your responsibility and yours alone. You do not want to share your password with others, including your spouse or your significant other. That is one danger, because if anything ever happens to a certain day, they're able to log in your information and go wild when it comes to online shopping. I don't know by personal experience, but it could possibly happen. You don't want to base your password or your personal information to someone who knows you and they be able to access your account easily. You always want to make sure that you log out of programs or websites in closed browsers when you're not in use, especially the ones in the public computers or friends' computers, because they're able to log in right after you're done and possibly get your passwords and information to important sites. One thing to keep in mind though, you want to protect your passwords and treat them like they were your child or your prized possession. Because would you ever want someone to steal this item or valuables? I don't. Now, when I mentioned earlier about information, about using information for your password, and how easy it is to get some passwords when you have it on social media, live for everybody to see. Well, this following chart, statistics from the University of Illinois of Technology Services Secure ID website. This shows the information commonly shared over the internet and social media, such as Facebook. When you take a look, 50 to 60% tile include that shows your birthday, where you went to school, and your family members' names. Very scary, huh? Then when you look at the 40 to 50% tile, you'll see they're able to see what hometown you're from and possibly any TV shows that you say that you like or is your favorite. Then in the 30-40% tile includes your favorite musician and a favorite book that you possibly have read that you like and you want to share with friends. And then finally, I'm wrapping up with the 20 to 30% tile. Typically people use vacation locations that they've been on or future locations that they've been on as a password. And lastly, also included is a pet's name. Now you're probably asking me, well, man, with all my passwords I got to keep or whatever, I can't write on a piece of paper. What do you expect me to do? Well, you can turn to password managers. There's three types of password managers: a desktop, portable, and a website. A password manager is a software of storing all your passwords in one simple location that is protected and accessible with one easy to remember master passphrase or password. It's one of the best ways to keep track of each unique password or passphrase that has been created for various online accounts without using a piece of paper or having other people seeing your passwords. This relieves some stress from trying to remember them all and only remembering just a simple one. As Neil Randall pointed out on PC Magazine in regards to manage your passwords, password management utilities have increased with the growth of internet. And as web users log on to more and more passwords, protected sites, this as password managers sites have become an essential tool to remember all the passwords. As for a desktop password manager, it is a type of software that gets installed on your computer's hard drive and it stores the individual's users' names and passwords for each account only on one computer. So you're not going to be able to use it on various computers. 2, the mobile devices. Typically this is already loaded on your computers or your iPads or your iPhones or some type of tablet. This is equipped with some type of password or a thumbprint to access it. For example, like I can access my iPhone with just a thumbprint. Lastly, talking about a website. Websites is a password management provider where a management provider accesses your information through a website. This way, you can access your information through various computer systems. So if you're on your home computer, you're able to go to the website and get your information. And vice versa when you want to use your work computer to get the same information. That is very convenient. Or you can use your phone or mobile devices or tablets, as mentioned, to integrate all three systems together. As Robert Mitchell described in the PC Magazine Best Passport Managers, Top 4 Reviewed, that password managers are striving to provide a secure online access to passwords in the cloud and give a coordinated local copy of individual passwords databases to every computer and mobile device, no matter what operating system, browser, or mobile platforms are used. If all this information is stored on the cloud, you can access it from anywhere with any device at any time. Very convenient. A perfect example, like I mentioned, is Apple, how they created it already on their devices as a backup on the cloud as for your password manager files. Now, to conclude With the multiple amount of required passwords and information that individuals store online, it is hard to keep track of all of them. The internet especially is considered to be an eye-catching place for malicious hackers to take personal information from you. Keep in mind to avoid using some passwords for every login and manage your passwords accordingly, such as using a password manager or creating different types of passwords. By choosing a password manager and using difficult phrases or passwords helps keeps individuals' information secure and protected from identity thieves. From one final thought before I go, ask this question to yourself. Is your passwords safe from identity thieves? Thank you, and have a good night.